Fanfic Corner, presented by Jennifer. The New Eeveelution. Chapter 7, Journey to Find the Lost, Part 2. Okay, before we get started, I'd just like to say one thing, and that is if you have not yet seen the first few videos for New Eeveelutions, I suggest you go view those now, as this is a continuation of that story. Their paws thundered against the forest floor, the wind blowing their fur around. Breeze ran, never showing any signs that she was getting tired. Lightning and Spooks ran behind her, getting tired. Eventually, Spooks gave up and turned to a complete ghost form, so all he had to do was float behind or beside Breeze to keep up. Lightning stared ahead as his eyes locked onto the clearing. "Breeze, we've been searching for ages. Can we take a break?" Lightning asked between pants. Breeze looked at him out of the corner of her eye. She noticed his state and slowed down, walking beside her brother. "I guess we have been searching for a while, though still no signs of Shadow. We can take a rest for a little while. No harm in that, right?" she thought to herself. They came to the clearing and sat underneath a tree. Spooks had returned to his normal form and was sitting beside Breeze. Suddenly, some tracks caught his attention. As he padded over to them, Breeze watched with curiosity. Spooks let his muzzle hover above the ground as he sniffed the tracks. His ears twitched at the presence as a presence was felt beside him. Breeze sniffed the tracks as well, her eyes lighting up with joy. "That's Shadow," she said, jumping into the air and landing on the ground again. Lightning sauntered over to them, smiling with his usual goofy face. Rest is over, Lightning. Time to find Shadow," she said, determination flooding her blue orbs. Lightning groaned as his sister sped off, following the tracks. He bolted after her, Spooks casually floating beside him. Breeze came to a stop, her ears twitching at familiar sounds. "That voice, it's Shadow's. But where is he?" Breeze thought, looking around everywhere. The voice turned to whimpering, which then turned to soft sniffs. These sounds made Breeze even more determined to find Shadow. Finally, she used her brain and called out to him. "Shadow, where are you?" the female eeveelution called out, sparking the attention of a certain Umbreon. Breeze? He thought, looking around. His gaze landed on a familiar white figure that poked her head through the bushes. Shadow wiped away his tears with his paw, then rushed over to her. Shadow touched noses with Breeze and realized he was still shaking. Breeze must have noticed as well, because her happy and excited look turned to one of which held sadness and confusion. "Shadow, what's wrong?" she asked, tilting her head. I thought I'd never see you again. I missed you," he said, nuzzling her kindly. She returned the action, nuzzling him comfortingly. "I missed you too. Say, where's Jem?" Breeze asked, looking around for the stubborn Espeon. Shadow sighed and spoke. "She's staying with a human. I'm not sure how long I'd be able to stand a human before going insane. After all, when you're wild, you're free to roam wherever and whenever you like. With a human, you're only let out when they want to let you out." Shadow shuddered before he heard paws thundering down towards them. Lightning came to a halt right before he hit a tree. But unfortunately, Spooks couldn't slow down, making himself run into Lightning, sending him flying into the tree. "Really, Spooks, really?" Lightning growled from inside the tree. He tried to pull himself out, but realized he was stuck. Breeze giggled at the Jolteon's uncomfortable position and bit his back paw. She yanked on it in hopes of getting him out. Shadow bit his other back paw and yanked it. They pulled as hard as they could until they heard the sound of wood being cut to splinters. They released his paws, and Lightning fell back, square on his face instead of his paws. Breeze helped Lightning up, who just glared at her. "I don't think I'll walk anymore. I don't think I'll walk anymore. You officially crippled me," he said dramatically, falling to the ground. Shadow stood by Breeze, who had an awkward look on her face. "Breeze, I found a nice stream we could stay by tonight," Shadow informed, his red orbs beginning to glow in the darkness as the sun set. Breeze nodded and followed him, Spooks and Lightning behind her. They appeared at a small stream that had a waterfall, water splashing down, creating a small barrier of mist. Shadow and Spooks used their psychic abilities to lift Breeze and Lightning over and behind the waterfall, carefully placing them down. They examined the small cave. Breeze laid down in a corner, slowly drifting off to sleep. A warm body pressed against hers, causing her to open her eyes. Shadow had laid down beside her, his rings glowing slightly in the darkness. She smiled and leaned on him, thinking to herself, "Although we found Shadow, something seems lost." Her eyelids drooped and she dozed off to the repeated sounds of water falling into the stream.